I remember that.
Well, I see by the old clock on the wall that it's 7 o'clock. I call the meeting to order of the Ferrisburg Planning Commission for November 7th, 2024. A roll call, please.
Chairman Jonas,
Present.
Commissioner DeYoung.
Here.
Commissioner Tuggle. Commissioner Carlson,
Here.
Commissioner Weber,
Here.
Commissioner Hawley,
Here.
Commissioner Schoberg.
Present.
We have a full house. We can do some business. You. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Changes.
Nothing? I'll entertain a motion, please. Moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration for approval of the October 14, 2024 meeting minutes as presented. I think I had one. Hope that was somebody. Any additions or corrections? Otherwise, entertain a motion to approve, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 14th meeting minutes as printed.
Moved and seconded to approve the November 7, 2024, October 14, 2024 meeting minutes as printed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, we have public comments, and that is for anything that's not in the agenda, because under 6 and 7, we have a public hearing coming up. And that time we want comments. 6. If you have anything else regarding the anything else on the agenda or not on the agenda, now is the time to please step to the microphone and give us your name, please, and where you might live, and address any comments to me. And if I don't have an answer, I'll have somebody who does. There'll be another time for a couple times for comments, so more to come. All right. Public comments closed at 7:03 and a half. All right, now we have a public hearing. And that is to consider a request by Stillwater Capital LLC for a proposed plan unit development plan, PUD, for 16 residential units on parcel number 7003-161000063, parcel directly adjacent to the east of Ferrisburg City Hall, where we are currently. And this property was sold a number of years ago, spun off from the total school property. The city bought it. And there were going to be some housing units put on at that time. That owner has since sold to the new owner. Real proposal on the table, and tonight we're going to have a public hearing on this, get more information, ask questions, and take action if necessary to recommend this goes to city council if it's approved by us. One more step. Anyway, we have a lot of stuff and a lot of things that we got. I couldn't print out ahead of time, but I see we did get hard copies of that. So I don't know if everybody's had a chance to go over most of what we have. The stormwater narrative, to be honest, I'm not going to read. Only because it doesn't sound exciting to me anyway. I figure it's all there pretty much, and that is for excuse me, our engineer to look over things like that. So what I'm going to do is open up public hearing. I'm going to have a representative from Stillwater tell us a little about what you'd like to do. And well, if we have any questions, excuse me. Questions come to me and I'll ask them of you. We'll get an answer. So somebody like to present on this nice big project you have?
good. Yeah, so it's a 16 unit development, 8 units off of Ridge Ave and 8 units off of Roosevelt Road. It may look familiar from last time we were here. Some slight differences are we're not proposing splits anymore, so it will remain one parcel here for PUD rather than site plan. Some changes that have happened, items that we've addressed since last, where we've added several hydrants per the request of the fire department and city engineer. We've also increased the width of the drive in certain areas near the hydrant for fire safety. And also kind of shifted the buildings a little bit to maximize the amount of distance from the wetlands per the city engineer recommendation. I think those covered the major items from the fire department. We've submitted the stormwater narrative. The engineer will review that. One thing that the plans do not reflect at this time is the recommendation from planning for pedestrian access inside the site. We're willing to work with the city to kind of come up with a solution for that. It will be a little tight trying to squeeze between the wetlands and where we cannot improve the area, but we're thinking a walk along the unit side of the drive back to Roosevelt and Ridge. Along the unit side of the private drive. Yes, the driveway. Any questions?
Could you point out for us
Yeah.
where you're speaking of?
So it would be along.
Find that out of your front door or your garage? Crossing the road?
There's going to be separation between pedestrians and vehicles is very important. In a situation like that, even though it's smaller developments, the idea of people getting that, yeah, it can happen not walking the street. Okay.
They're private sidewalk.
It's a private road. All private property.
Yep.
Which means it's all snow plowed by you.
Yes. Yep. And so that was an item brought up about the master deed that's still working in progress, but the drive and the walks would be incorporated into that, and there would be language about maintenance and upkeep and snow plow.
All those issues that were brought up are no problem.
Yep.
Putting in the master deed, okay. Anybody else have any questions for Zach?
There was also, do you want to talk on the building material?
Please.
No.
We'll call you back up, Zach.
My name's Curtis. I represent Stillwater Capital, builder, developer, and then we'll do the site work with the excavating as well. With the units, trying to hit a certain, say, price point, restrictions that the city has, or the requirements rather, 50% brick or stone on the front face of the units, goes against what we're trying to do with affordability, we felt like. So we provided you with a few sample plans to show how we feel like we can make the units aesthetically pleasing with different types of building materials on the front, being vinyl. And that's the reason that we're asking for the variance from the 50% requirement written in the subdivision ordinance for multifamily. Because we feel like we can do a good job making them look nice without that. Also, the brick and the stone would add expense, which goes in the opposite direction of us trying to hit certain income requirements for some of these units. Another thought that people don't typically think of when they add these requirements, whether it's an ordinance or a restriction in a bylaw for a subdivision, is the landscape that you plant in front of your house is typically covers up that brick or stone. So what you're trying to add when you add those materials to make your property look more expensive or to show more value, it's covered up by flowers, trees, bushes, etc. And it doesn't do necessarily what you wanted it to do anyway. And we feel like we can add landscaping in the front to add some dimension and make it look really nice too. A lot of these units are going to be tucked back in the woods, and that will help kind of blend in with the natural elements too. So just wanted to make a few points, and then if you guys had any questions, be happy to try to answer those.
Yeah, I always have a few on this because architecture is one of my little pet projects I have in looking at things. And even though you're tucked back a little bit in the woods, I still believe that I look at your development as signature projects.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, this is kind of the face of Ferrisburg. People come to City Hall, they'll see your units, and whether they're in the parking lot or baseball diamond or whatever. So I'm looking for that. I don't necessarily consider it a wow factor, but architecturally pleasing. And you can do that with textures.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that with colors. You can do that with vertical versus horizontal. There's a lot of things you can do to make it look like it's worth more, enhance the value. And that's what I'm looking at from that standpoint, because the booklets that you gave us last time, on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
They do. You're looking at a $1 million home there. But the idea was just to show the difference in those textures of the materials that we're
Yes.
I guess,
And
suggesting
that's
or recommending.
something that I know that you can be real creative on things. And there's lots of things you can do necessarily adding cost.
Mm-hmm.
Vertical versus horizontal. Trim's a biggie.
And those are our intentions. I did share a handful of examples that we came up with different colors, different, I guess, trim packages. But I guess another point that I'd like to make is I'm also investing quite a bit into these units, and I'm responsible for selling them, not only the units, but my brand behind it that I have to carry, well beyond what we're trying to sell next door to. So this is a representation of me and my companies. I want them to look really nice. I have to sell 16 of something. So a lot of that goes into it as well. We're just trying to balance all of those things. How do we hit certain markets? How do we hit price points? How do we keep that value that we're going after, that we want to add to the community? I guess we're juggling all of those things, and
Sure.
I feel like I can do it. And I guess one of the suggestions that I had, as opposed to the 50% brick or stone that the ordinance states, maybe we make a condition of a certain percentage has to be something like mixed materials. So we can't have more than 50 or 30% of a double four. We have to have the vertical and the shake mixed in there. We have to have trim around the windows, on the front elevation, things like that.
And you right now considering a fourplex as being all the same look?
One example that I had, we had each unit kind of alternating. So we had different tones of colors between one unit to the next in the fourplex. So we had kind of dark grays, light grays, and whites, and kind of mixed and matched those together to try to add to that dimension and the textures that you're talking about. So,
Because I'm thinking the townhouse look.
mhm.
You're getting a row of fourplexes, but it looks like a townhouse,
Yes,
but four different units.
yes.
It defines 4 versus 1. And,
Yeah, and I think we can do that. You want to have a theme, so to speak. Not that a rainbow can't be a theme, but I think that we want to think that it represents the project and kind of that wow factor that we're after. If we can have it pull together, and also, I guess the
Yeah.
independence of each unit owner would be more on the inside with what they do with it. But from a maintenance perspective too, you want some of that cohesiveness because that's the HOA's responsibility to keep the roofs and the siding and some of those things too. So as a unit, you want to be able to replace things when a storm comes and those things break too, to where things aren't hard to find in the future.
Roger, if I can speak. So I apologize, we've gotten a lot of information. I feel like I don't have a good rendering of what these will look like from the outside. Do you have, like, when you're talking about colors, do you have something, or have we received, like, I mean, I know we received these books last time, but I know these books are just examples of the materials.
I do.
Okay.
Craig has done a great job of telling me when I need to get things to him by, and I try my best.
I think that would just help to see that, because
We had an attachment. I did not print it out. It was all
Yeah.
color
I
from one of the
looked-
emails.
There's an email from Monday at 6:46 PM that had the elevation.
has
So if
that.
anyone-
Craig,
I'm
do we
trying to
have
stay on
hard
top of
copies of
this.
that or not? Okay.
I can look here. That would just help with kind of visualizing it a little bit.
There we go.
Turn it to Jordan.
Front and back, and there was another one that had front and back on it too. Two examples.
We felt like it was more important to show a couple of variations of those 2 stories because we feel like the ranch units are going to be different. So those we will have stone on, and they're going to sell at a little bit higher price point. But for the ones that felt plain, in my opinion, we wanted to be able to show some of that variation. So that's why I provided those.
Okay, thank you. Oh, that one, that's the black, it looks black.
So the different
Yeah.
colors of siding is in your thought process, or is that what you're gonna be doing? Not gonna look.
No, I think that I like the darker one, but wanted to show you what we were able to do. And I don't know if that's going to be left up for staff or if that's a part of the site plan process, but wanted to at least show you what we were able to do creatively, design wise, to make them look nice.
Can we clarify, so when we say 50%, are we talking the whole thing? I mean, are we taking out the garage? Are we just talking about the siding part when we say 50%? When you look at, there's really not a whole lot of frontage, like a lot of it's garage door. So,
I would remove the windows and garages from that calculation.
we're talking 50%. That doesn't even seem like it's really that much. My concern with the landscaping is people are buying these, so you might put in really nice landscaping, and then after they're purchased, if you don't have somebody that likes to keep it up, Like the house across the street was flipped. They put all this nice landscaping in. She came in, tore it all out, and now it's just like bark because she doesn't garden or anything. So that's my concern with trying to cover it up with nice bushes and stuff. Like, it'll look really nice when you sell them, but what is the upkeep gonna be with whoever purchases it?
So the outside is a part of the association. So that has to be kept. There'll be certain requirements within that. That would be very easy to,
Okay.
I guess, hold accountable. And actually, the individual unit owners wouldn't have a choice of ripping those things out because they don't own them.
It's common area.
Correct.
And with this layout, there really isn't, I'm not seeing much space for landscaping, like in the front. I don't know. I think the black looks nice.
Black doors are in. They're the hot thing now.
Mm-hmm.
Right after I put my white doors in, black became the thing.
White will be back. White, timeless,
Typical
classic,
white,
yeah,
Timeless.
good words.
Anybody else have any questions before we have David weigh in on this?
May I ask you a procedural question, kind of?
Sure.
So if we're gonna find, that would go under the 50% or whatever, and we would go against that ordinance, what we'd have to all go on that? Or
We've got some leeway on the PUD.
Okay.
We can ask for something else and waive that part of it. In other words, we can play a little game here and go tit for tat if we want to someplace else. But we have some leeway on that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's the zoning ordinance allows for other materials. It says that the grouping body may waive the materials as required by the section if it finds that a proposed building design and the materials or combination of materials are keeping within the purpose of this section. In making the decision, the approving body shall also consider the desired character of the area and design recommendations from the master plan. So there is the ability through a PUD, through a PUD or for any site plan for you to waive the appearance requirements. In one other curveball as well that I wanted to mention, as I was looking at this a bit more in the last few days, Section 560 refers to, well, it exempts single-family residential, then it has requirements for two-family, and then it skips to multifamily. The ordinance then added the term townhouse in 2010. So the original ordinance was written in 1999. The term townhouse was then used in 2010. These requirements refer to single-family, two-family, and then skips to multifamily. So when I look at the section, I almost wonder if the intent of multifamily as it relates to this section would be apartment complexes, and maybe the when the addition of townhouse was added to the ordinance, it just wasn't contemplated that an architectural requirement would be added. So there's a little bit of confusion there. The reason I had it in the report is because actually the definition of multifamily is simply 3 units or more, and it doesn't have anything about 3 units or more with a common access as an apartment complex would. So I feel I'm not exactly as confident in the applicability based on the definition of townhouse and the definition of multifamily and the lack of the term townhouse within 560. So
They seem to be they're interchangeable.
well, multifamily includes anything 3 or above, whether it's townhouse or an apartment building,
Right.
but then there's a specific definition of townhouse, and these are townhouses. These are attached side by side. So again, I'm just not sure if when townhouse was added to the zoning ordinance, if the intent at that point was to include townhouses as multifamily for the appearance requirements, or if it was more to be like treated more like a duplex, which really only has appearance requirements as it relates to the garage location. But two-family residential is not subject to the building material requirements as townhouses are, or I'm sorry, as multifamily.
One point to consider, the difference between residential real estate and commercial real estate. I'm sure that you have industrial and commercial requirements when it comes to architectural materials. 1 to 4 with residential, and then anything beyond, as he suggested, would be commercial property. So I guess just a biased interpretation, as I'm kind of defending my plea here, is as somebody wrote that, thinking of a more commercial property, I can see that where you get much greater density than what we're asking for with 16 units on 8 acres here. 1 to 4 residential, and then beyond that being commercial.
We've had some commercial developments come through here too, where we looked at it and said, which side is the side you'd like to have the 25 or 50% on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the side that's showing. Now, in your case, you're looking for curb appeal. People pull up in front. They're not going around the back and looking, and really can't see the sides. I know they're kind of windowless, but can't really see the sides because of the vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always look at that curb appeal when you drive in the driveway. What's the first thing you see? And whether it's a duplex or a townhouse, a quadruplex, look at the gables and tell me which one's the quadruplex, which one's the duplex, which one's the sixplex. Can't really tell.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when the vegetation all grows together.
Right.
I mean, it matures. So what we're looking at, and this will get back to the site plan approval, is we want it to look nice, and you do too, so that you have a saleable unit, and it fits in with. We want you to make money, obviously, because if you don't, then we're not fulfilling the housing needs that we have in this community. That's the way we're looking at it. So,
and I understand. I'm 37 years old. I want to continue working in this community and surrounding communities. So if I tell you I'm going to do something and then cheap everything out, it's just a really bad look and bad for a brand and my image. So I guess that's to say it's going to look nice, and how we hold each other accountable is up for consideration. But
see, you're not even half my age, so you have to live with this a lot longer than I do.
well, I have to work for a long time still.
There you go. Okay.
Chair. So with this development, we do have to be careful though, because I feel like the southern unit, you don't really see the back, but that northern unit, if I'm interpreting this map right, you will see the back side of that unit if you're at City Hall and the parking lot and the baseball diamond. So,
Side of it.
yeah.
To the northwest side. Of
Yeah.
The,
I don't know how many trees will be in between, or if any, but yeah. I think it's a great use of the property. I would love to see this go forward. It's just making sure that, we're all comfortable with how it looks and any other issues.
I put arborvitae trees in there.
Well, and we plan to do that between the units on the backs anyway, so you can have privacy at a patio. That's important for people in some of these adjoined units. But just as much as you might not want to look at the back of these units, I think that these people feel the same about looking out there in their back units and having the privacy from, even though, the community garden, the fields and that will be nice. It's feels like something that's very easy to
You
add.
got the ball field on the other one. Next to, that looks right at the northwest side of that whole unit. I think that's what we're talking about. There's probably where landscaping would fit the bill. You put some 6-foot arborvitae trees in there, they grow like crazy. And they're green all year long. Experience I've had. Anyway, hold off for a second, Gary. This time I'm going to have our planner, Mr. Jurosik, kind of fill us in on some things that you've come across, and I know we'll have more focus. concerns that you have. This is a fairly complicated project, if you will, and it's got a lot of moving parts to it. So we want to make sure that we're understanding, how it fits on there, the wetlands, the whole thing goes together. And there are a lot of things to consider there. So, David, take it away.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, and as also relates to 560, the appearance requirement, they only apply to the front building. Sides or even if they could. There's also other options to consider. You could certainly take a strict approach and require 50% of the brick or face brick. You could also ask for maybe the bottom 4 feet just along the front, or maybe just some brick accents around the garages or next to the front doors. There's a lot of good examples of ways just to use brick or face brick just to provide some accent rather than looking like a full, mostly brick townhouse type product. So I almost wonder if that brick was intended to really apply to the apartment buildings that, based on the size and scale, it is almost a commercial scale building. So, but again, I think through this process there is some flexibility to consider the character of in the area block as well. So overall, the PUD process, this is the second here in the last couple months. The report walks through all the PUD qualification standards. Luckily, this is over 3 acres, so we don't have to have that same debate. Also, there's a qualification in general PUD standards. And again, this also goes through the special land use process, so special land use standards as well as site plan standards. So a lot of very subjective discretionary standards that we consider. That's why this is a 10-page report. But overall, my comments boil down just to a few that I consider fairly minor. First, as mentioned, the pedestrian accommodations. I think would be a good way to handle it, having the sidewalk along the frontage of the buildings and then wrapping around the driveway to the street. I think it's especially important on Ridge because as that wraps around the sweeping entryway, that could tie right into a public sidewalk, so that folks, families, kids on bikes, they're not walking down the driveway. Then there could be a conflict of someone turning in. So at least they would be off the main drive as to minimize those types of conflicts. So that would tie right into the sidewalk on Ridge, and then on Roosevelt, there's no public sidewalk on that side of the street there. Is it correct?
Yeah, on the north side.
Oh, on the north side, but there's not one on the south side. So that could be something to where same concept, running along the front and then just tying in on the west side of that driveway, so that's where they could cross the street to go north and travel on that sidewalk west. So I just thought that would be a good idea, just to ensure that folks are not using the same area to walk as people are going to be driving in. But I think they've offered a good solution to that. Concerning the master deed, I mentioned about the shared driveway access and pathways. That would all be handled in a master deed, so that's pretty common. This is a conventional condo development. As mentioned before, it would also handle all the maintenance, landscaping. People are not going to be maintaining their own lawns in this case. It's a general common element around the buildings. There would probably be one contract to handle all of that. Have a uniform look and feel. Things would be maintained. Wouldn't have that one bad apple who doesn't mow the lawn. Just service that most likely hired by the association to handle this, and that the cost and all those arrangements would be handled by the master deed language. Number 3, on the last page, I mentioned the building appearance requirements. Again, that's for your consideration. You would make a recommendation to the city council on that matter. Number 4, they have provided landscape specifications. They are shown on the plan, but I would ask that we get a more detailed plan just in terms of like the mix of types of plants. I believe we have a maximum number on the number of trees you can have that could be the same species. There's minimum installation sizes for shrubs, canopy trees, and evergreens. So just a couple minor details I would suggest adding on to the landscaping plan. And then lastly, light fixture specifications. What they did follow up in an email that they're just going to be standard residential cutoff lighting that would be low level. So maybe we could just get a cut sheet included for the council packet just to show that they are in fact low level residential lighting. So overall, I think my comments were fairly minor. I think they've come up with a good solution for the walkability. And I think that one of the main questions is going to be the appearance of the buildings. Overall, I think the option with I like the black garages personally, but I think it looks good. I think it does fit well with the neighborhood. When I mentioned about the waiver and keeping to the requirements, I don't like to waive things just to waive them, but if you have to ask my opinion, I think it does look good and it looks like it would fit. I also feel like there might be some gray area in the interpretation on this in terms of the applicability. That might be consider a compromise.
We got this email back regarding the questions that were posed before, and we have the answers in red. Are we satisfied, this is both Craig and David, that those things have been answered? I know you can't probably answer to the fire chief.
But the fire chief's on vacation this week, so he hasn't had a chance to review it. The public service supervisor, according to their email, we're going to wait till we get the permits drawings for the water mains and sewer mains when they go to the state. The city engineer signed off on it today as well.
Okay, that leaves us
Yes, and fire chief.
and city council. Great, okay. Looks like it's my opinion, is very complete.
Yep.
Good job, thank you. That I was able to print. Okay. At this time, I'll open it up for public comments, public hearing part of this, and any questions, ask them to me, and I'll find somebody who's got an answer. Identify yourself, name and address, please. We're live on YouTube right now, so I know.
I'm Joanne Jarvie. I live across the street in Roosevelt Ridge condos. And we'd be happy to see condos there across, in the two locations. That would be just fine. Our concern, and the 4 residents that live on Roosevelt Road, is with where the road is going to go into this. And, we have 34 units. That's close to 40 or 50 cars that would be going in and out. We have the school traffic, as you probably know. And of course, we'll have the residents' cars from the new units. The city did a great job of redoing that road. But now I'm wondering, I think I understand where the road's coming in, but I'm not sure. I'm worried about congestion. Because you're going to have to get building materials in there and the trash and, any other kind of large vehicles.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask Craig a question? Sure. We do, with construction, have a time limit, right? I mean, you only have, 2 years or something for construction. You can't have construction materials piled up for years and years. There are time limits for that, aren't there?
Well, they'll pull building permits for each fourplex of before building permits. Those building permits are good continually as long as you're in inspection every 6 months.
Does that alleviate a little bit your concern about all the construction mess? Because there'll be some. I mean, when you're constructing, you're going to have materials and such.
Right. I guess I'm worried, or I'm more concerned about daily traffic. if the school lineup is on, are people going to be able to, I mean, there's one lane now that we can get out. One lane in the middle between traffic going both directions. The new folks, you know, how many cars are they going to have going in and out? During the summer, it's not going to be a problem, but when the school's in session, it's difficult.
I know what you mean. It's people don't all leave at the same time. I've noticed that, and people who have more flexibility know when the traffic is the worst and don't go out then.
That's right.
I know that from my neighborhood. So the construction traffic will come and go and they'll be gone.
Right.
And that's just like except the guy across the street from me, he's gonna be on that thing for more than a year. The house down at the end of the street, I don't know how many years it's gonna take for that one to get built, but anyway, that's where we live. It's good, it's all good. So, I understand what you're saying, especially with the school down there and operating at this, the people that live around West Michigan Academy, same concerns. You don't go on Hazel at 3:30.
No.
You know, so I suspect that people will adjust to it more, and so they come and go at times when it's not quite so busy.
You know, and we were always concerned before the new road construction. If you had to get an ambulance into our association or a fire truck during school hours, I mean, it was very difficult, very difficult. And just adding more traffic to that, I guess we just want to make sure that you're hearing our concerns. Already, the 4 people who live on Roosevelt some days don't get their mail because school traffic is parked in front of their house, and the post office has been pretty good about that. They now come really late or really early. But it's an ongoing concern, especially for the 4 units up front.
Yep, we don't dare suggest that they cut through the city hall parking lot, do we? Not that anybody in your neighborhood would do that either.
Oh,
right?
of course not.
That is the nice thing about this development. It's kind of unique in the fact that if you see this map, so it's 16 units, but only 8 of them, I think, would be using the entrance that you're referring to. So
Okay.
the other 8 would be using Ridge. So
The top is Roosevelt's
yep,
at the top.
the top road is, and then the city hall is right to the left.
So is this?
So I think
That one
would-
goes out to Roosevelt.
are we?
Go ahead and show it. Yep.
Right here.
Also, it's not in front.
I think it's just west of the western driveway. And to clarify too, the city's requirement is that there's a 150-foot offset from Dustin to the north and Lane to the south. So the driveways they're both, I believe, about 150 feet from both of those. So they have proper offsets from the more traveled roadways. And to Jordan's point, with the 8 units north and 8 to the south, that means the traffic generation is split. And with a attached unit like a townhouse, the daily traffic is between 6 and 7 daily trips per. So that would be anywhere from 48 to 60 trips per day on each side. And that's actually a much lesser rate than if they were single-family homes. Single-family home is going to average 9 to 10 trips per day. So attached units typically have smaller families, young professionals. You know, there's not going to be 5 or 6 cars there as there would be for a larger single-family home. So this type of housing product has a lower overall traffic generation than single-family detached.
9 to 10 trips per
Yeah,
day.
that's-
Yeah, ITE manual for traffic
Guess we
generation
stopped
is
at
9 to
talk
10
about
per
it.
day
Your
for a single
spouse
family.
going in
Yeah.
and
But it's 5 or 6 for an attached unit. Just west of it.
There's a driveway.
We get
This
separation,
map
so
might
he's not
help
pulling out.
best.
when Cars are
This
pulling
large
in.
map.
No concerns. Thanks, John. We know each other.
Mhm.
We know each other. Going way back. Good to see you. Our kids went to school together in this school, this very school. Okay. Anybody else from the audience? Questions? Comments? Mr. Post?
Gary Post, Ferrisburg. I have a question for the developer. It seems to me that the appearance of the building could be greatly improved if there were windows on the end of each quadplex, and it's disturbing visually to me that they're just a blank wall with no windows at all. And I would like to ask the developer to address, Mr. Chairman, the board on that point. And will we be talking about the bond issue question at some point tonight?
Yes. I had that question on my list. And we'll have Craig answer that.
And I'd also just note on the fire chief's questions, it concerns me that we're here tonight, and it's been quite a while that the fire chief has put these questions out, and it's unfortunate that the answers that look like they're answering the question, but we really can't say. I can't say, and I don't see anyone else volunteering to say that they've been satisfied. So I would suggest we might want to qualify any approval with being sure that those points have been answered or will be answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we do that with, not only in this case, the fire marshal is asked to sign off on it totally. And also anything else that comes up that are conditions that we might put on this. And there might be some more too. But we do that so we can get the developer moving ahead. But in order to get final site plan approval, all these things have to be resolved. Keeps things moving. So while we're on to that question, are they going to be bonding for the underground work?
The developer is working on doing the financing and then being reimbursed through the brownfield TIF. So it would be no cost to the city. His financing would be captured by the developer through the increase in taxes over the period of 30 years or something like that. And the brownfield board will review that brownfield plan at their meeting next week, make a recommendation to the city council. So the city will not be bonding for this project.
Okay, that answers that. Thank you. I guess the county wouldn't do it.
I'm sorry?
The county wouldn't do it.
The county would not bond on it, no.
Okay, just to be clear, because we threw a couple things around. Okay, so that's a big one right there.
Roger.
Yes, sir.
Craig, how about the agreement for the 1 acre of property?
Right, that's part of the site plan approval.
And that is on the big drawing that was in our packet. That is shown in that, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I saw it on there. Same place it was before, and that's part of the deed. The deed's drawn up as being part of the deed. Got it. And it works out well, I think, both for the city and for you where it is. That's a good solution.
Glad you
For
brought
that.
that up. That's a session to remember.
Right.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. To the developer, the fire department was requesting 2 hydrants and you added 1, is that correct? You added both of them?
Yes.
Okay.
So there are 2.
So you answered all the questions from the fire department, correct? Satisfied all the correct?
Road hydrant.
Thank you. These things, as I said at the outset, they're fairly complicated. There's a lot of moving parts to them. And it takes time to resolve some of them. So the fact that we got a lot of these things, some now, and some delayed a little bit, is okay because we got them addressed. That's the main thing. Questions were asked, questions answered. And I think from that standpoint, we're very pleased with the way the city has acted and the way the developer has. So I'll close the public hearing at this point at 7:52. My Spartans tip off at 8 o'clock. So, Big Ten Network for anybody cares. So at this point, any other questions? David, anything you want to add? You've covered a lot of ground, and your memo covers a lot. When was the last time you wrote a 10-page memo to us? It was heavy.
I was going to say, a couple
Heavy-
months ago.
Yeah, heavy reading, though. Anybody else, any questions? As I say, this is complicated, but don't be afraid of asking a question, making a comment.
I guess a question for the developer. Can you just clarify those 2 renderings that we got?
Mhm.
One with white garages and one with black. Were you interested in both of them, or did you say one was, yeah.
If you guys have a preference, we could try to include that
Okay.
and with a motion if you'd like, if that's allowed. I just wanted to show you variety.
Okay.
To say that, we can do a lot of different things here and give it different looks and achieve what we're after. And I guess if you guys don't mind, I do like to address some of the public comments about the traffic. The city road. Typically, the city and even for county road, there's requirements about units trips can come in and out of the property before they hopefully we are well. Sounds like it's it is I know it is congested, mostly because it's too far. Okay, yep.
Thank you. I think as far as the architecture goes, we don't want to design these units. That's not our function. But what we would like is to have you come up with something, part of the site plan. We look at it and that looks pretty good. So, because we're not going to tell you black, white, alternate, purple. So if you can, you're good at doing that, right?
I am. I guess I'm just trying to think if there's a way to do that. There's ways to get conditional approval, and then I don't know if that would require us coming back with plans. We have a lot of work to do before we start building anything, but obviously it goes to city council next. But if you guys would like to look at what our final plans are before we're issued a building permit, there's a lot of flexibility within the PUD language to offer that, but we also don't want to make it too difficult for anyone
We're approving the
either.
PUD. That's what we're doing to pass on the council for their approval. Site plan review is something else. And we don't have to do that.
Oh, this process covers it all. So the PUD
Okay.
along with the final site plan.
Except if we had conditions on there that we wanted to look at, then that could be a condition.
Yeah, you could. Conditions, typically we handle that administratively, or if there's something that you feel passionate enough that you would like to see yourself, I mean, like architecture, I think would make sense. A final architectural plan could be the subsequent planning commission or city council review.
I don't want to get into that because there's 7 of us up here and you get 7 different opinions on what color and this looks good. And we're not going to take votes on colors of garage doors. I don't want to get into that.
I think Craig has really good taste if we want to
I think so too.
let him stamp it.
His garage door looks great.
Mr. Chairman? The only thing, I thought your comment that we're right by City Hall and you're kind of the gateway to City Hall was important, but I also agree that we're not the designers. All I care about is there are some units not in this city that we go by and we go, welcome to your home, comrade, because they look like blocks. They don't have any architectural interest at all. So all I care about is that it's something that's attractive and doesn't look like a block from the communist sector.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really impressed. I think it's good use of the property. And I was impressed by your engineer's responses to all the concerns. It was thorough and I thought carefully reviewed.
So don't take it personally if we vote no.
I'll do my best.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody? Clarifications? We have enough information to make a recommendation to City Council?
Could I ask, would you want a recommendation to include a site plan review then?
No.
No? Okay.
If they administratively, our zoning administrator can handle any question that comes up on that.
Well, then if it's all right, I will move that we recommend to City Council to approve a request by Stillwater Capital LLC for a proposed plan unit development plan for 16 residential units on parcel number 70-03-16-100-063, adjacent to City Hall.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve it. Let me get to the, moved and seconded to recommend the City Council to approve the request by Stillwater Capital. Any discussion now? Discussion? I'll let you. You mean waiving the requirement? I think we have to include that as part of the motion.
So how do you want me to word this? I recommend that we recommend to City Council to approve the development with the variance,
The waiver,
with the waiver of
the 50%.
50%. Maybe I shouldn't make this
Requirement.
what he said.
Requirement for brick and stone facing.
Sounds like wedding vows.
Yeah, right.
That's what
It'd be a waiver of section 5.60D, correct?
Correct. And is the intent of the motion to include the conditions that were on page 10? They have addressed them, but we will need to see the plans that show those items. So could be, it could, the motion, if you're satisfied with what we discussed tonight as well as responses, the motion could include 1, 2, 4, and 5, and then just note that the waiver of 560D is also approved or recommended.
1, 2, 4. Okay. Regina, that sound good?
Yes. So, you want me to rephrase this?
Please.
I move to recommend to City Council to approve the request by Stillwater Capital LLC proposed plan which includes waivers of recommendations 1, 2, 4, and 5.
And section, the brick section.
I think it'd be,
To include,
yeah,
Yes.
and the
Yes,
waiver.
include recommendations 1, 5,
to include,
and to waive the
recommendations
appearance
1, 2,
requirements
4,
of
and 5.
560.
That, yes, Craig, have that?
maybe Craig could read it back to us.
We're on YouTube anyway. We can
It's
play
to
it.
recommend City Council approval of the Stillwater Plan with the waiver of section 5.60D and to include the recommendations of 1, 2, 4, and 5 of Mr. Jurassic's November 1st memo.
I'll second.
Very good. I said it was complicated.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
A lot of work has been done on this already, approved by David, Craig. Appreciate it, both of you guys. Any other questions?
Include,
Yes, it should be.
It's assumed. There'll be a PUD agreement that follow city council approval, and then we list all of those agency approvals that signed off before they can construct.
Got it. Good question. Any other questions? We had with motion and second, didn't we? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're really looking forward to this because I think I told you back when the city talked about breaking this property off, I actually cut out little rectangles and put them on this property where I thought we could put housing, we could keep the ball field, we could keep the garden, we could do all these things. What you came up with, you know, bright minds travel the same. Anyway, I'm excited about this and looking forward to it. So, any other questions, just contact Craig. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, that was easy. Thanks, everyone. Good conversation, good questions. Okay, now, advisory review of the MDEQ special exception request for parcel number 7003-18204-010, commonly known as 0 North Shore Estates Road. And we get these packets there for information only. There's no action required on our part. And it's always, I like to look at them to see what's going on in some of our most expensive property we have in the city, and what's approved and what isn't. And it's amazing what a developer can get on a slope like that. So we're always curious to see what the construction looks like. But that's all we have to do, right?
So this is the parcel up here, 2410. It's a vacant parcel right now, and it really cuts down, and there's only really a little flat spot that they can build on that property to meet the city requirements. And we've had a discussion with the property owner for a year or better, trying to figure out how we could do this. So they're gonna ask for a special exception to go cut into the dune a little bit. And so this is an opportunity for the planning commission to, if there's a concern or do not want that to happen, to voice that opinion at this time. In the past, this planning commission has waived the right to review these and left it up to the state to approve or not approve.
Do we know if this is a primary residence or a summer home?
They indicated that it's for a person because she wants to be closer to her family.
So you do want approval on this?
If we have no comment, I will just tell them that we have no comments.
And that's typically in the past what we've done is no comment. Because it's,
Okay, we'll pass that along.
that's okay with everybody. That was easy. This is about the point in the program where my voice totally goes. So if I have to turn this over to somebody else, it's because I'm just not interested. I take that back. Work session, master plan, we're back on that. And I set the goal last summer of having this done by the end of the year, council. The draft. What do we need to give you, David, to help you along from here on out?
Well, I think we're in pretty good shape. I think the intent of the project was to include targeted updates to sections of the plan based on our priority discussions over the last couple months, as well as include summaries of the public input processes, including the survey and the open house. So based on that, I included the November 1st memo that I believe Craig, this came out after the packet. It was emailed out, so I don't think it actually got to the physical packet. Oh, what was in the packet? But the November 1 memo just includes just a summary of recommendations that would be under redevelopment and business opportunities, walkability, traffic and parking management, social and cultural activities, seasonal economy and resident engagement, public space and parks, infrastructure and street safe improvements, housing development and zoning adjustments. So those are kind of all of our main topic areas over the last 3 or 4 months, as well as based on some of our survey results. And what I'm going to do for the next meeting is plug this all into the draft plan. And so my intent is to have to you the full draft for your review. You know, as I look at the goals and principles on pages 31 and 31 to 33 of the master plan, you'll see that there's 8 main goals. I think that overall it's a very broad list of topics, and I think all of these 8 or so topics here would be plugged into those 8 or so topic area goals in the master plan. So, you know, 1, 2, I think we've talked a lot about downtown. So I think goal 6 in the plan it says create a focal atmosphere in the Pine Street area that is integrated with the waterfront. I would probably rephrase that a little bit more about something about ensuring a strong and vibrant downtown area, city of Perrysburg that is walkable, attractive, and I think that particular goal should just be expanded to reflect more of our downtown intent. So that was the only thing I think early on in our review process, I think I was a little concerned that there wasn't a strong downtown goal in the plan. So I think number 6 on page 33 of the master plan can be supplemented a bit more based on what we've discussed. So what I'd like to do is for the next meeting is include in your packets the draft master plan, which would include also some of our demographic and housing data, the summary results of the public input processes, and then all of our general summary information from this memo here. And this is abbreviated, but these are the main topics that I'll be expanding upon within the goals and principles on page 31 to 33, as well as from these, I'd like to take out specific actions that we would put in the table on pages 45 and 46. So I think I'm pretty clear with my marching orders for the next meeting and to get this draft to you per your deadline. And I think tonight is a good opportunity to check back in on any of these topics or to make any clarifications or let me know if there's anything I've missed in the summary. But overall, I think there may be some graphics or mapping that might not be 100% for the first draft, but I think in terms of content will be 95%, and that extra 5% would just be what you would like to add to it once you see it. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape in December.
One thing I would request in that is that the page numbers be sequential. Mine tend to skip around. your page, the page you refer to, 31, it says 33 in my book. And same, then there's a 32 and then another 33.
The goals are on mine are page 31 to 33. So goal 1 is on page 31. Is that?
I have two
Mine's 33. This was got an earlier printing or something. I had the same thing on, later on. It's just, you might have caught that for later copies.
This is the page that we're looking at. So goal 1 is on page 31 of the document online.
The implementation I have on 45, not 47. That's what, same thing happens there.
I have two.
Your book?
I mean,
Yeah. Anyway, just, would you go through again?
so here, I've got page
Yeah, I have some
33 there, and then I have a page, and then
So that actually looks like it's an issue with the city's movie. That's not on the.
not yours.
Yeah.
So sometimes, when that was printed, sometimes printers or the computer that was used to print that didn't recognize the most recent Adobe program. So that's not the and you can see that the font of those page numbers is actually different than what's in the plan as well. So, so I think that's more of a software issue with your printout.
Okay.
So,
But
yes, we will have sequential pages. I guarantee it.
you just have to.
I would be confused by that too.
Speak for
You'll pick
yourself.
that. I spent half a day. Let's figure out what page I'm
See, ours here says 31. So,
on. So anyway,
that's an easy comment though. We'll make
the-
sure that's done.
Yeah, one thing I had, and I know that this is not a total rewrite, it's just an update on the plan. So a lot of the things that will stay the same in there, maybe the verbiage changed a little bit, but the format overall, you're satisfied with that? Anybody else have any questions on format, for example? Yeah, sure.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for David. Does the Ferrisburg zoning ordinances address solar energy?
Yes.
And if not, one of our concerns is that we try to make Ferrisburg and the surrounding communities as friendly and receptive to renewable energy sources, and I'm concerned that this might be an opportunity to make sure that we are addressing that.
We address both solar and wind in the city ordinances. We got ahead of that a number of years ago and put that in. And so the restrictions on where you can put a wind turbine, how many solar panels you can put in your backyard. We addressed all those things. And but the another place in goals would be renewable energy too. Encourage that only because it's we have sunlight and we have wind here.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, we did go through a process to prepare a solar ordinance, and that was not approved by the city council.
Well,
So
wasn't
it, that was back in March or April.
I missed that.
Isn't that last year or the year? Something, I think it was a little longer ago.
I
I
remember.
think we worked on it in 2023, and then I think it was delayed a few months at council, from what I remember. But
Do
I'm
we,
not sure when the final.
do we know
it was-
why?
I have to look at my notes. In fact, I just looked that up a couple of weeks ago. Someone asked me about it. I looked it up and it wasn't adopted, but I'll get some information to you.
Craig, if you could copy me on that too. I appreciate that Regina attended our presentation with the Community Energy Plan before council. And it's mentioned occasionally that we should be looking at zoning ordinances and planning policy to try to be as friendly and receptive to renewable energy. So I just thought this was an opportunity to, as we're looking at the master plan, to see if we are trying to be receptive and friendly to renewable energy sources.
Apparently not solar.
Possibly we need to look into that some more. Thank you.
Roger, in addition, since we're on the theme of renewable energy, unless I'm missing it, David, we're not addressing charging stations at all as well for electric vehicles
No,
in this,
no, we're
in the
not.
overview.
No, not in the master plan itself, but I think a general goal concerning renewable energy would fit in well with one or more of our goals. So I can make note of that and include some general language to that effect.
We would encourage that because right now, so apparently now you can install solar panels wherever and whenever, and they're not prohibitive. So therefore you can put them anyplace. Is that what the mouse do?
I'll get some information for you.
Because we spent a lot of time on that, I know. And the question came up, how many solar panels can you put in your backyard? And my comment was, how many, we don't restrict how many trampolines you put back there. So why would we restrict with solar panels? But apparently didn't gain any traction, so I'll wait for your response. Okay, good question.
Yeah, I have a problem with not removing garage requirements for dwelling, but mandating sufficient storage space. Sufficient storage space how? Inside, out? I mean, when Jeff Still was mayor, that's when we put in the mandate to have garages because we had homes being built that didn't, and it was a mess. There were all kinds of stuff in people's yards, and I don't know how you could patrol mandating sufficient storage space. I mean, an outbuilding has to have a permit, so.
And what's the definition of adequate?
Yeah.
How many bicycles do you have?
Yeah, you got 5 kids, you got 5 bikes, you got
Trash cans.
wagons, and
Yeah, I know. That bothered me too.
it was a mess.
And I know why this came up because Habitat for Humanity builds houses without garages. All of them, all their houses are that way. So do you want those in town or not? And the last one that was built was right over here on Michigan, I think, and didn't have a garage. It kind of fit in the neighborhood. But there's also one built North Shore Drive has one too, built a number of years ago. You wouldn't even know it. But that's why it came up. And I had the same concern.
You have people with tools and paint cans and everything else piled in their yard because they don't have a garage that they can in which to store it. I think that's opening a can. It's going to be similar to the where do we put our boats and our RVs? You know, it's going to be even worse than that. It's going to cause trouble.
I think that's a good point in terms of the specificity. I mean, right now these are our notes from our discussion. So as I work through and plug these into the plan itself, I would probably flag that as something that's a bit too specific for a master plan, and that could be worked out during the zoning update process. So I think that the main goal was to remove I think there'll be a general housing goal that will say here's a menu of items that can be used to help us to increase the housing supply and affordability, and we'll generally talk about each, but we don't have to have the specific the specific dimension or the specific rule in place in a master plan. So at least we're planting the seed to be able to have that conversation at the zoning update level. But with all, and for the same for all these, if there's something that's very specific, as I work these through, I'll probably generalize things a bit. Unless there's, it's just a slam dunk, yes, we've all agreed to this. We'll keep it general and then be more
It's
specific
visionary.
later.
I mean, it's not an ordinance. A master plan is not an ordinance, so, okay, I get that. It's good.
There's a term that's used around here, Robinson, Tucky. And they use it down there, so I'm not saying something that's out of that. The guy my daughter dates lives down there, and he uses the term, so anyway. It's the idea of how many things do you want parked outside, and whether, because there's no place to park them. And that's the way I look at it. And you can have a garage that's full of stuff anyway, but at least you have a space to put one if you want to. Anyway, yeah, well, anything else that looks like it's too non-specific, I guess, or to define very well? We'll look at that too. David, you got updates on all the demographics and figures and all that? Well, again, you can use the same software with this format and it would go real fast. Or you got a different program.
Yeah, I think, some of the formatting of tables that are inserted might be a little bit different. But this overall InDesign document is what's going to be used. So this will be a familiar document to you. The overall chapter structure is going to remain the same. I'll mainly be supplementing existing sections, and then I may add a couple paragraphs here or there on new topics. But overall, I think some of the tables and pie charts, some of those might change slightly that as I update those tables or create them in a different format.
Come up with a different front page, back page, something different. So when I have these, I've got them all stacked up from 2007. I can tell which is which based on the kind of.
That's a good point. To
kind of
distinguish the
reminder,
front page, I didn't think about that, but we certainly have a new front page just to memorialize this as the.
Yep, they can be white, be black, I don't care.
Sandy did send a front page picture, I believe.
Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's not to be, no, that's not. Those require permission. Those are not public domain. There is no front page. There's a cover, solid cover. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we have tons of pictures I know around of the city, and we could just
If anyone has a picture that you'd like to see in the plan, send it over. If it's a picture of a community event or a building or the waterfront, I mean, anything to spruce up the plan, and I'll find a place for it.
Good, because all of us are on different boards and commissions besides this one, so we're involved with other things, beautification or whatever the event might be, and I know we all get pictures from time to time. We have this neat little camera that happens to make phone calls, but this thing is loaded with pictures that have never seen the light of day, and everybody has one, right? It's full of pictures, we think. So it's just up to you and see one. You up, David? Okay.
I have a housekeeping item,
Sure.
if that's okay.
Craig's got a whole library here of city pictures.
Good. Okay.
They're going to package those up and send them over, and I'll see where I can fit things in. But if anyone has any personal pictures that you'd like to see in the plan, send them over.
I have just a house.
The city.
Do have a couple of include Ottawa Sands this time.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
There were some great ones in the MLive article. Over 40 photos.
that whole page on Ottawa Sands has gotta go. It's outdated. I can reference the page and send it on to you, but matter of fact,
Got the mayor talking.
Oh, yeah,
I like that one.
that's beautiful. Sandy, you said something about housekeeping?
I do. I have a housekeeping item on page 47. That this is a memory from last time we were going through the master plan. But it says Parks and Preserves zoning district currently permitted and existing, but a new zoning district is recommended, and we did go ahead and do that. So that was updated.
tell me that again, Parks and Reserves, what is this? Yep, got it.
Yours might be
Two
different.
47s as well?
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's
It's
two
different parts.
47s as well, so it's similar to
yeah.
the scenario before.
So,
Something.
You're on the right one, Roger. That one with the
It's on the
zoning
page
plan.
that's titled
It's on the
zoning
bottom,
plan.
yeah.
Second to the
Oh.
and we did do that. Yep. Good. There might be a number of other things in there. I challenge each one of us to kind of thumb through, and you find something like that, do it to David right away. Time is of the essence. We've got a holiday in between here, between now. And personally, we're flying to Florida Saturday. I'll be back the day before our next meeting, if we set a next meeting, and pick a time and date on there. Is there a problem with first Thursday?
No.
The 4th, December 4th?
Fifth, I think.
Okay. Let's set that date for our next meeting first. That look good? Fifth? Okay. Good, because I'm flying back on the 4th. For that meeting, for that meeting, then we're staying for Christmas too, so I'll be around. Okay, let's, anything else on the master plan? Enough to give David a good go ahead. As I say, I would challenge each one of us, go through it page by page, and anything you come up, let them know right away.
In what, I'll highlight the major changes by paragraph. So if there's a small proofing things I won't highlight, but I'll highlight all the main
Okay.
content that's added or something.
Okay.
You're gonna be emailing this to us before the next meeting?
Yes.
I will have email where I'm going, so I will participate. Is that legal by the email? We can send that back to you? Back to Craig?
Draft comments?
That's fine.
Sorry,
David, okay. Want to make sure. I'm on my last legs here, so I don't really go out in the ball for flames. Okay, we're down to public comments. Any more public comments, Mr. Post?
I will say that some memos concerning the sign ordinance were included in the packet, and I'm looking forward to being a serving member on the commission, and I would like to address the review and recommendation on improving our sign ordinance once I get on the commission. So I would just ask that you give me a chance to get on so that I can be a full participant in your review.
Very good. I'll be long gone, but go ahead. Go for it. Okay. Yes, I think that worked out, and we had a lot of discussion about the sign ordinance too, and that subject came up, and we said, you know, could you put, if you wanted 4 candidates you're backing, put them all as the same tree, if you would, bunch them together, or if some people would just stack them in there. And what we got into was people abusing it and putting draping flags all over and signs all over, and we didn't want to see that either. So there's a compromise someplace there. I agree, especially this year. Okay, nothing else on public comments? Zoning administrator's report.
No report.
Chairman's report. I just wanted to comment on the city of Ferrisburg, the 10 initiatives on the ballot. And by my count, we passed 5 of them and rejected 5. And just for the record, I voted for all 10. So I voted for increases in salary to the mayor and for the city council. I know that's not a lot of money to pay, and they don't do it for the money, but there's a lot of time that goes into those meetings, plus the other committees that you're on, commissions you're on, in addition to city council, that then you meet twice a month and not just once a month. So I thought it was a small amount to pay. But anyway, I was in the minority, and but the other ones I thought it was probably pretty tough to understand a lot of these things. And if you didn't turn the ballot over before you walked in the booth and had it like I did, an absentee ballot, you would be kind of baffled and thrown back by the whole thing. I'm surprised by the number of votes we did get. People turned the ballot over and they voted, and hopefully they got the information on what each one of these meant, because the ballot couldn't include that much. But it was on the city's website, excellent there, and other places to get it. So anyway, I would encourage the city to put up some of these that got no votes, to put them back up again. Be my suggestion for the next election. Because nothing went down terribly by a whole lot. Nothing. All right, anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I have nothing else except that we ended up with a lot of stuff for this meeting, and I appreciate everybody's input on the things we had to go over, the amount of paperwork we had and correspondence, and the thought that you really put into these meetings and have good questions. So, members' reports.
No report.
No report.
No report.
You're gonna be the only one.
Yeah, I have a couple things.
Okay.
Craig, do you want to update us on where we sit with the bridge right now, with Smith's Bridge?
Smith's Bridge, yes. Congresswoman Hillary Scholten helped secure a grant for the city for $11.7 million. That will cover the construction cost. Design, engineering, and construction engineering are being funded by MDOT. So right now we're fully funded to have that bridge replaced. Bids will be due in June of '26, and then be the contractor's discretion on when he starts it.
And total cost is what, 14, 15?
Close to $14.1 million.
Great.
And then if anything over that, the city's gonna be responsible for.
Thank you.
The number 14 million?
The total cost is 14.1 with the engineering and construction.
And it's gonna take a year to tear down and build a new one.
Maybe 3,
3 years.
2 or 3. So they're saying bids will be due in June of 26 and project be completed in 2029.
Does the city have any say in the design portion of that, or is that?
Yeah, we've been working with a company that does the engineering. Right now, we're gonna have the sidewalk on the bayou side like it is now for fishermen. On the lake side, there's gonna be like an 8-foot path with a divider, very similar to the bridge that's over by the country club. And the parking for the fishermen are gonna be on the opposite side.
Anyone else have any questions about the bridge before I go on to my next item?
Only that the people who complain about new houses on the blueberry fields and all the traffic on the bridge, forget it. They're gonna have to get used to Van Wagner for a long time. We're going the other way, as the rest of us will. The mayor won't have to worry about it.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was city council, we did vote to pause the sign ordinance until after, what is it, Craig, 10 days after the election. I see a lot of signs are already missing. I didn't really see any yards that were a mess with all kinds of banners or whatever that the chairman was speaking of, so I was pleased about that. I voted on that Monday night at city council. And Tuesday I got home from work and my next door neighbor had 30-some signs for someone running for Spring Lake trustee in their yard. Showing a sign of protest, I was told, after a week of silence. That was the worst offender I saw. Pleased to see, it'll be interesting to see how this works out for the long term. It's a good way to start some dialogue, so it's a good thing. And then I did speak at the grand opening of Ottawa Sands, and I did reach out to Roger because he had served on the Ottawa County Parks Commission for what, Roger, 15 years, 20 years? 15. But Roger was out of town, and I wanted to make sure that some of his thoughts were included in my remarks, which were just a minute or so long. And I hit on a general theme of Ferrysburg City of Parks. And I do have the remarks if you'd like me to read them real quick. If you'd like me to, I can.
And I can read mine and you can compare the two.
Oh, come on. That's all right. I can read this real quick.
No, I was pleased that you captured some of the things that I wanted to get in there.
Yeah.
And then put your own touch to it.
I tried to edit as little as possible.
I like to be your ghostwriter anytime.
I said, good afternoon and welcome to our city of Ferrysburg, the city of parks. Our Michigan dunes are part of the largest freshwater dune system in the world, so large they are visible from space. Built by the glaciers thousands of years ago, 275,000 acres of dunes line our shores today, yet less than 100,000 acres are in public hands and protected from a wide range of threats. When this land was a working sand mining operation, it was zoned for dune residential. Our Ferrysburg Planning Commission would be called to renew the sand mining permit every 3 years and would ask, how many more years will this still be a sand mine? The answer was always, we'll be mining here for at least another 5 or 10 years. Ferrysburg Planning Commission members, that's us, would periodically take a guided tour of the working mine in progress and would practically drool over the prospects of this land someday being a high-end residential community around a lake overlooking the Sag and the beautiful Grand River.
My words.
Fast forward today, this is where your part ends. Fast forward to today, this property is being restored to a premier park in one of the premier county park systems in the state, if not one of the premier county park systems in the country. We in Ferrisburg and our Tri-Cities communities are thankful for the Ottawa County Park System and the Idema family for investing so much to make this park a gem for today and tomorrow. Ferrisburg, home of North Beach Park, North Ottawa Dunes, Coast Guard Park, the Ferrisburg Nature Preserve, Fire Barn Park, Kitchell Lindquist Nature Preserve, and now Ottawa Sands, the anchor of a coastal dune system that goes from the Grand River to Hoffmaster State Park. Welcome to Ferrisburg, our city of parks.
Yep, very good.
And what I would like to see is in the introduction, welcome to Ferrisburg, Michigan, is incorporating city of parks. And Craig was gonna come up with a number of acres, the percentage of the city that was in parks. I think we have that someplace. Anyway,
Can the council make that our, not vote at our mind? Then it's a, put it on a little.
and I was thinking about the focus for our master plan and something that would distinguish us from other communities and also define us. And we've talked before about if the park systems that we have really define our city, in my opinion. You know, it's not this small town things and all that stuff, I'm not sure apply, but parks sure do. And now they're expanded so much, the opportunities and the unusual parks that we have, city and county. It's kind of overwhelming. So if we could, I'd like to see that. Might be my legacy, city of parks.
This is the end of report.
You did a good job.
Thank you. Try to come prepared.
I had the same thing. I wasn't gonna read it though. Anyway, no, good collaboration, I appreciate it.
You bet.
I couldn't be there and I thought the mayor did a great job on massaging my words. With that, no more members' reports. It's about halftime of the game. And with that, meeting's adjourned. Excuse me, I'll be here the 4th and nobody will be here. Definitely. Got it.
Be on a flight.
Very good.
Drive home.
Dabble.
I got interrupted. People freezing now.